Hey guys, it's Berrycat, and today we're going to be starting the process of designing my first ever comic by designing the spaceship, which is going to be where the majority of the story is going to be set in. And in the background I'm just doing some ink sketches of different design ideas while I explain a bit of my thoughts about creating the comic. I've always wanted to create a comic. It's been one of those things that I just come back to every time I'm doing a different art project. I'm like, I want to make a comic this time, but I've never done it, and I decided I just need to get it over with and create it, because otherwise I would just never do it, because I just keep on putting it off because I don't have any like major story ideas, but I have an overall gist of what I want to do, so I'm just gonna start and see what happens. And also I'm going to uni in September, and I thought now's a good time as any, because I'm going to get really busy, so might as well start now. And we're going to be starting off with just making a bunch of the backgrounds and environments, both because I find it the easiest and also I just enjoy it the most. And then over time we're going to move on to creating characters, and hopefully the story will like naturally develop over time. I know like the main themes that I want to include in the story. I know I want it to be a slice of life, comforting story that hopefully makes people feel less alone, which I liked the idea that she's alone in space, but the story is about finding community and not being alone, and like finding positives in negative situations, I guess, which I really like the concept of being alone in space, which I know realistically it probably wouldn't be great, but I like the idea of having your own little planet. Obviously she's got a ship, but having your own like world that you don't have to be scared of people or being interrupted or anything. But I'm thinking that over time she's gonna like gain friends or gain different creatures or machines that gets added to her ship that becomes her quote-unquote family. But I want the main story to be about her just doing ordinary tasks. But that being said, I don't think the story will be that engaging if it's just everyday tasks. So I need some kind of hook or villain, or I don't know, that adds to the story and makes it less boring, I guess. I would be fine creating a story where she's just living her life, but realistically not many people would be that excited about that, I don't think. But I don't want it to be scary. I want it to be happy and good. I want it to be like more comforting than terrifying, because I don't like scary things at all. I've kind of been ignoring the actual drawing that we're doing right now. I'm just designing the ship, which this is the second try that I'm doing. I did do a design before this, but I ended up really hating it because it looked way too much like a submarine, and it wasn't great. I liked it. I liked the concept, but for a spaceship it looked funky and it looked too small. It didn't look like there could be an entire inside, which I think that most spaceships look way smaller than they actually are, because there's nothing to like compare them to in space. And even this one looks kind of tiny, but I'm thinking there's going to be an entire interior of like a bedroom and a bathroom and a kitchen and stuff like that. I want her to be able to live out of this. I still want it to be like cozy and cramped, but not tiny, But this design still looks very much like a submarine, to be honest. It looks very close to the Gup A in Octonauts, but I'm okay with that. I think it's got some features that keeps it looking like a spaceship, but yeah. But now we're moving on to creating a 3D model of it, which I just thought would be really useful in doing different drawings and using it as reference so that I keep the proportions the same in all my artwork. So we're just using Feather 3D, which is a 3D modeling software on the iPad, which I really find quite useful. And I'm just creating the spaceship. I'm not the greatest at 3D modeling, but I just made a rough draft of what it would look like. And it's going to be useful for helping me figure out the insides of, you know, where the windows are going to fit in the layout of the floor plan. Which this ship is going to be like cut in half, so there's going to be 2 layers. The top layer is going to have the 3 windows, where I'm planning on having like a bed in one of the windows, because I really like the idea of looking out in a circular window out into space. And like the top floor is going to be more of the leisurely stuff, I guess, and then the bottom floor is going to be more of the important things like the control panels and the kitchen and stuff like that. But now we're moving on to doing a painting of the ship, which I'm doing 2. I'm doing one more focused on the ship, which is this one, where it's kind of the main feature, and then my second one I'm doing a more background heavy piece where it's going to be a lot of space compared to the ship. And I'm using materials that I'm planning on using for the creation of the comic. I'm planning on making the majority of it traditionally, but then adding like text and borders and fixing things digitally. I've always just kind of preferred doing traditional over digital because I'm more experienced in it. But also I just really like the different textures traditional art makes. Particularly watercolour. I love the kind of variety of colours it creates, and I think especially with making a space themed comic, it will be useful to add different colour textures and different things. But watercolour, gouache, and ink is like going to be the main materials I use, which I really like the contrast of, the cleanness of gouache and digital mixed with the kind of I don't know how to say that word, but the colour variety and the more unpredictability of watercolour, which creates like different colour textures, which I really like. I particularly like the effect of doing the space where I like take away colour with the gouache. It reminds me of those scratch away art things. I can't remember what they're called, but I really like doing underpainting and then adding the more polished gouache on top, which I've done in previous artworks that I've really enjoyed doing, so I've kind of perfected how I like it. But yeah, we're coming to the end of this piece, and then at the very end, when I've done both of the pieces, the traditional stuff, I'll go in digitally, which I'll show the final ones at the end. But I'm just using Prismacolor pencils to add some details and add some swirls to the, I don't know what I would call it, like the smoke coming out of the engine bit. I really liked that effect of adding swirls and stuff. I want to bring like some stylization into the different environments, but I do want to focus on using some more like negative space. I tend to find I go too detailed and it's too overwhelming sometimes, which I'm trying to be more like Oliver Jeffers, who he manages to like have such like a simple art style, but it's so effective, and it just shows what he's trying to like paint so well, and I really want to focus on trying to use less sometimes. But now we're moving on to the second artwork, which right now it's technically upside down. I did plan to have it this way, but I ended up switching it so it's gonna turn upside down in a bit, which I just think it balanced it out a lot more. It was too top heavy when it was like this. And another thing I want to talk about is colour palettes, which I've always wanted to be the type of person that sticks super heavy to like a singular colour palette, and that's another thing I really want to focus on for this project. I want to stick somewhat to a colour palette because I just think it makes it so much more effective. So I'm sticking really heavily to blue, and to like the pinkish red that I used for the Spaceship. Those are going to be my two main colours, because like space is already such like a dark thing, but I don't want to use black. I really love a dark blue. I think it's so effective, and it goes really well with that dark red. And two of my favourite colours in my gouache palette are the dark blue and the dark red, which is why I'm using them so much in this. Oh, there was a bit of a time skip. I think I forgot to record for a bit. But yeah, I'm just doing the same effect that I did in the first one, and trying to like create a gradient to the different colours, and around the smoky bit it's a lighter blue to show the glow of the beam. And I want to talk just a little bit about some of my other inspirations. I've talked a bit about Oliver Jeffers, who, I love his artwork so much. It's so great. But another TV series which has been super heavily influencing this project is Bee and Puppy Cat, which is about a girl and her puppy cat. But I really love that like calmness of that show. It's like, and it's got like villains and stuff, but it's still so calm and peaceful, and I really like that. I like that there's these crazy situations where there's a girl like punching through a wall, but it's still so calm and like peaceful. I guess that's what I want to create in my comic, I think. And then obviously another one of my main inspirations was Project Hail Mary, which the movie just came out and it's like massive, but is really what started off my space obsession recently. I've been listening to the audiobook and I've watched the movie like so many times, and yeah, it's got me super into space again, which I've always loved space, but it's got me back in the, oh my goodness, I want to learn everything about it because it's just so crazy. And I love the visuals of that movie and how creative the entire project is. The making of the puppet and stuff is so like cool, and having such a massive like creative project is just so great, because yeah, it's just awesome. I could talk about it all day, but yeah, that's one of my other massive influences. But now I'm just cutting out a little mini spaceship to put on top of the piece, so that it pops out against the planet, which I didn't paint it in originally because I ended up switching out the layout anyways. But I'm just painting the planet now, which I really struggled with. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but I ended up just like simplifying it and adding this swirling effect. But we're coming to the end of the traditional stuff, and now I'm adding the digital edits on Procreate, and that also means I'm near the end of this video. So I just thought I'd end with saying, if you've got any tips about making a comic, if you've got any experience from that, I'd appreciate anything. And I'd also love some space book recommendations. Yeah, I'd love to read some more sciencey books. I really like learning new things, so that would be highly appreciated. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to join the journey of making my first comic, I'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time, where I'm planning on designing the interior of the spaceship. Okay, goodbye!